Welcome to Swirl AI Search, the podcast that dives deep into the world of enterprise AI search. Discover how to unlock the value hidden within your internal data and accelerate your journey to actionable insights. Let's cut through the noise and find out how you can get the most out of your internal information. As befitting a podcast about AI, this episode was created with the help of Notebook LM. Please enjoy the Swirl AI Search podcast.
Welcome back to our deep dive. So, you've shared some really great material this time, and it all seems to circle around a common, well, headache, really. The sheer difficulty of finding the information you actually need.
Right.
It doesn't seem to matter if you're digging through, endless shared drives or even using some newer AI search tools. That feeling of just being swamped by irrelevant stuff, it's everywhere.
Absolutely. And one of the sources you sent really nailed it. It called this noisy search.
Noisy search, I like that.
Yeah. It's that feeling, right? You ask your system a question, and it's like the source said, dozens of people answering at once.
Ah, yeah.
But, most of them aren't even talking about what you asked. You're just drowning in data, but the actual insight, still missing.
Exactly. And I mean, think about your own experience. Those huge enterprise systems, right?
Oh, yeah.
Shared folders
Yeah.
that have basically become digital landfills.
Yep. Seen plenty of those.
And just remembering past searches that, well, went absolutely nowhere useful.
Mm-hmm. Wasted effort.
So our mission today, really, is to dig into why finding the right stuff is so hard. Like searching for that needle in a digital haystack. And maybe explore a solution mentioned in your materials.
And it's crucial to understand it's not just about the wasted time. That's bad enough.
Right.
Your sources really highlight something else. The massive cognitive overload this noisy search causes.
Cognitive overload. Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, constantly having to sift, filter, evaluate all this irrelevant information, it doesn't just slow you down, it actually makes it harder to understand the information that is important.
Ah, so it affects comprehension.
Exactly.
Ah,
And your decision-making becomes less effective because you're mentally fatigued from dealing with the noise.
that makes sense. You can't see the wood for the trees.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And you might even miss critical warning signs, signals that maybe a strategy isn't working because they're buried under all the junk.
Okay, yeah, that's a serious consequence. So let's unpack that. Starting with traditional search, how it just kills productivity.
Right.
Let's use that example from the source. Searching for, say, the Q4 revenue report in a typical company system. Seems simple, right?
You'd think so.
Yeah.
But what usually happens is, well, chaos. You
Mhm.
type it in, and bam.
What do you get?
You get hit with outdated reports from last year, maybe Q4, 5 years ago.
Okay.
Multiple versions of something called Q4 revenue, but no clue which one is final.
Right, V1, V2, V final, V final, final.
Exactly. Emails where someone mentioned Q4 revenue, but there's no actual data.
Ugh.
Maybe a slide deck with one chart that's too high level.
Yeah.
Just a mess.
It really is like a digital scavenger hunt. You spend so much time just wading through digital clutter, hoping you stumble on the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the source pointed out, even if the real report is in there somewhere,
Buried on page 5.
finding it means this incredibly manual process, scrolling forever, opening files, closing files, cross-checking things.
And trying to piece it all together. Is this the right version? Is it complete? Is it up to date?
All that manual effort, it doesn't just slow you down. It slows down teams, delays decisions. It hits productivity hard.
Absolutely. And the fundamental problem, traditional search just matches keywords.
Right, Q4, revenue, report?
It has no real understanding of context,
Ah.
your intent, the business relevance.
Yeah.
It doesn't get it.
Which brings us right back to that cognitive overload point you made.
Exactly.
It's not just the minutes ticking away while you search, it's the mental drain, processing all that irrelevant noise.
It puts a huge strain on your thinking, makes it harder to focus on what actually matters.
And harder to really grasp the key insights even when you find them.
Right. Your judgment can be clouded. Making good decisions becomes tougher when you're mentally exhausted from the filtering process itself.
That manual filtering is a huge part of the cognitive load, isn't it?
It really is. And look, this is where that idea of context-aware AI search comes in. It
Okay.
starts to look pretty appealing.
Okay.
One source called it a respite from noisy search.
A respite. That sounds good. Like a calm harbor in a storm of data.
That's a good way to put it.
So what's the big difference? How does it, cut through the clutter?
Well, the core idea is understanding. It goes beyond just matching those keywords.
Yeah.
Context-aware AI tries to grasp your intent. What are you really looking for? And what's the business relevance of the information?
So it's smarter search.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Tools like Swirl, mentioned in the materials, are built around this. The goal isn't just more results, it's the right results, faster and more accurately.
Okay, let's make this concrete. Use that CFO example again.
Sure.
So instead of just typing Q4 revenue report, the CFO asks something more natural like, what are the biggest cost drivers affecting Q4 revenue?
Right. A real business question.
What happens with traditional search then?
Well, as we said, probably a messy list. Spreadsheets may be outdated, maybe incomplete. Budget reports, but too high level. Meeting notes where costs were discussed, maybe. Financial chats scattered across Slack or Teams.
Lots of potential sources, but disconnected.
Exactly. And likely out of date. The CFO then has to manually sift, collate, verify. It's a huge task.
Sounds exhausting just thinking about it, and prone to error too.
Very much so. Now, contrast that with how a context-aware tool like Swirl might handle it.
Okay, how does Swirl approach that question?
It operates more intelligently. First, it can figure out and prioritize the latest, most relevant Q4 financial reports across all the different systems it's connected to.
So it knows to look for the finalized versions.
Right. It understands the likely near for authoritative data, but then, crucially, it doesn't just find the documents.
It does more.
Yeah, it can actually extract the key insights. It can pinpoint and summarize the main cost drivers impacting Q4 revenue, pulling that info out of the reports.
Wow, okay. That saves a step, or several steps.
Definitely. And it can also surface related discussions. Maybe find Slack threads where the team was debating those specific cost drivers.
So it connects the dots between formal reports and informal conversations.
Exactly. Or emails or older reports that provide useful background. It gives a much richer picture.
That's powerful.
And maybe the most interesting part, it can even suggest smart follow-up questions. Like, based on finding cost drivers, it might prompt, how do Q4 costs compare to Q3?
So it anticipates the next logical question in the analysis.
Precisely. It helps guide the user.
The difference is just stark, isn't it? The benefits seem really clear.
Absolutely. Much faster decision-making, obviously.
Because the key info is right there.
Right. A massive reduction in that noisy search frustration. And you eliminate that tedious, mentally draining manual filtering.
Yeah, that speaks directly to what listeners want: efficiency, less overwhelm, getting rid of that cognitive burden.
Exactly. And this impact, it goes way beyond just improving search itself. It can start to change how organizations actually work.
How so?
Well, you start seeing these AI-driven insights pop up much faster. Users can grasp the main points without deep diving for hours.
Which leads to faster decisions.
Yep, that accelerated decision-making the sources talk about, which means more business agility.
Being able to react quicker to market changes, grab opportunities.
Exactly. Because you're not stuck in the mud trying to find the data first.
And what about the people doing the searching?
That's the reduced search fatigue. When you're not constantly battling irrelevant results.
You have more energy left.
Right. More time and, crucially, more mental bandwidth for the important stuff. Strategic thinking, analysis, execution.
It directly tackles that cognitive overload problem we keep coming back to.
It really does. It frees up those cognitive resources.
So people aren't drained by the search anymore. They can actually focus on doing something with the information.
That's the idea. It shifts the focus from data hunting to actual execution, a big potential boost in overall productivity.
It really paints a picture of where enterprise search is heading, doesn't it?
It does. Moving away from just, fetching documents.
Towards something more intelligent.
Intelligent, intuitive, insight-driven. That seems to be the direction.
So this context-aware AI isn't just like a nice-to-have feature. It sounds more fundamental.
I think so. For businesses wanting a competitive edge, well, getting the right information quickly and easily seems pretty critical today.
It feels essential.
And for the listener, it means potentially getting real answers without fighting through that digital noise.
Getting informed efficiently, without the headache.
That's the promise.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. The key thing we've really explored is that huge difference between traditional search, often noisy, chaotic,
Right. Cognitive load central.
and this more focused, efficient, context-aware AI approach. It's not about finding more junk, it's about finding the right stuff when you need it, ready to use.
And we really hammered home that point about cognitive overload, didn't we? How inefficient search, even some AI search that misses context, really weighs people down.
Yeah, impacting not just speed, but comprehension.
Decision-making effectiveness.
And critically, potentially causing you to miss important warning signs hidden in the noise. Those signals that something needs attention.
You just can't process everything when you're overloaded. Things get missed.
That's such a crucial point. So, maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Think about the time, the mental energy you spend right now just sifting through information.
Trying to separate the signal from the noise.
Yeah. Now imagine if that process was smarter, more context aware. What new strategic opportunities, what insights might actually surface and become clear if that cognitive burden was lifted?
It's a powerful question to consider. What could you achieve with that reclaimed focus?
Definitely food for thought. The potential for information discovery to be, well, less painful and more productive, it seems within reach.
Absolutely. The future looks less noisy, hopefully.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
My pleasure.
Until next time.